Ethereal Workshop has a great variety of monsters, but that doesn't mean they're made equally. I mean, we're literally comparing depressed bears to jumping squids. They're nowhere near the same level. So that's why I'm ranking these monsters from worst to best. But before we get to the tier list, I gotta show you all the tiers I made. First off is the W tier. If any of these monsters got removed from the song would sound horrible. Next up is the S plus tier. These monsters are really good, but they do not carry the song. After that's the S tier, it's basically the middle tier, and the S minus tier. If these monsters were removed from the song, they would barely make a difference. We also have the not ethereal tier, which none of the monsters will be going in because they're ethereals. And at last, the desserts tier. The monster in this tier is a desserts to our ears. Also, this tier list is made by Savage Rational One, so go follow him on Twitter. Okay, no more yapping, let's get to the tier list. Yooreek! Either a talking fish or a kind of insult you could say to your friends. Is it a vocalist? Is it an instrumental? It's obviously an orange colored Ban Ban. But that ain't stopping it from putting it in W tier. It's literally the main character of its island. It plays through most of the song, and it was utilized very well, except for that one verse. It's not even the best part about this monster. Yooreek could have been by itself, but no, MSM decided to make it a 2-in-1 deal. A buy one get one free. It could have been the most mid monster and it would still be great, but no, it's my favorite track in the entire song. And that good verse it was used in was perfect. Remember the first time you heard its second track? You were probably surprised. Like, there's no way you expected a giant parasite to pop out of that orange thing. And it played at a really good part of the song. It helps with the build. It is the build up to the original and much better final verse. If only its verse didn't get ruined by a giant spider and a literal Minecraft mob, and by 90% of fanmade predictions. Like, if you want to add a monster to its verse, make it help with the build up, not a generic background since it mimics a castle base. If you want to hear the verse done right, you should listen to the remix in the background. Okay, enough glazing the lava fish. There is one flaw with this monster. Literally every other monster on the sound has the same flaw as it, so I'll talk about it later. Next up we have Meebkinnot. It's nowhere near as good as Yooreek, but that does not make it bad. Both its tracks are quite good. In my opinion, its second track is better than its first track, but its first track was much better used throughout the song. I prefer its second track because when I was making my Ethereal Workshop remix, I used Meebkinnot's second track a lot during the song. But we're not ranking the monsters based off my remix, so S tier. Llama the Llama. It's a pretty decent monster, plays a good amount during the song, but it has quite a few downsides. It does not transition well into Whale's verse, and it sounds horrible with Yooreek's second track. Also, its second track only plays one time during the entire song, so it's going in S tier. Gyatzooks. It's quite obvious where the main percussionist is going. If you remove Gyatzooks from the song, it would sound horrible, so it's going right to W tier. Ogler. Smash, next question. It adds two verses to the song, and they're both good verses. Its first verse slows down the song after the beat drop, and its second track. Do I need to say more? Yeah, it's obviously going to W tier. Floss Kew. The potion dinosaur that nobody knows how to pronounce. In my opinion, it's the most forgettable monster here. The Wave 1 monsters literally made up the song. The quads are going to be remembered because, well, they're the quads. And Nightmare and the other recent triples don't really play that much during the song, so people are going to talk about them. But just because it's the most forgettable doesn't mean it's bad. First track was used quite a lot throughout the song, and its second track was used a bit. It could have been used a lot more though. I'd say it's S plus tier. Freddy Sadbear. It's short, ugly, and depressed, just like me. I used to think it was quite garbage, but then I realized. Without Nightmare, the final verse had no emotion. I used to think it should have played a lot more, but there's like nowhere for it to play. Due to that, I'll put it in S tier. Well. Look what monstrosity we have here. It adds two verses to the song, but unlike Ogler, its two verses are mid. Let's start off with its better verse. That one was pretty decent, but it could have had a lot of improvements. There's no transition to that verse, and the only monster that plays in the start of that verse is Meebkinnot. I mean, yeah, it's supposed to sound quiet at the start, so you think the song ends early, but like, who actually thought the song was gonna end there? It just sounds out of place and empty. That verse would be a lot better if they added Piplash Invention to the start of it, so overall that verse is pretty decent. On the other hand, its second verse is absolute garbage. Remember that one flaw Yooreek had? It was because of this verse. I might as well show you that disappointment of a verse. and people somehow like that verse. And they're always like, oh, it's supposed to sound like that. It's supposed to represent instability. At that point, they're just glazing. Like, that verse is literally as overcrowded as my ethereal island. And the worst part is, we waited months for Whale's unused track to get added. And in the song, you can't even hear the first half of it. Even though both of Whale's verses are not the best, I mean, it adds 2 verses. S tier. Next up is Venshin. It's another percussionist that plays a lot during the song, and just like Gyatzooks, going in W tier. It makes the song sound a lot less repetitive, and it actually sounds like a workshop. It could have played a bit more, but at least it plays a lot. Piplash. It only plays twice throughout the song. Zert. It's the best monster in the entire game. Bro literally carries the entire island. Like, if you removed Zert, the song would fall apart. In cooking, Zert is my oven. In geology, Zert is my efficiency 3 golden pickaxe. In writing, Zert is my pen. Zert is the best monster ever, and you can't prove me otherwise. Pentumbra, easily my favorite quad on the island. It sounds great, it plays a lot during the song, and it was basically mimic if it was done right, but it ruins my favorite verse. Still W tier. Tater Tots. They're a bit quiet, but they play a lot more than the other triples. Despite playing a lot, it doesn't really add that much to the song, so I'd say S tier. The man, the Rizz-muth, the legend. It's pretty mid. People act like it's the best monster, but like, it doesn't really add much to the song. It's mostly used for transitions, which is done by 2 other monsters. And its good track only plays twice. It would have been so much better if it was an instrumental, but nope, it has to be another percussionist. S- tier. Oogideez Nutz. This is what Rizz-muth should have been. Now, the only reason I'm putting it in S+ tier is because of track 4. That track goes hard and it plays at a really good part during the song, and its other tracks are pretty decent. So here's my final tier list. And don't forget, if you disagree with me, whine like a baby and roast me in the comments.